Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Aurum PropTech Limited earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Diwakar Pingle. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Aman. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome you all for the Aurum PropTech analyst call. As you all know, pursuant to the closure of open offer earlier this year, the control and management of Majesco Limited is now with the Aurum Group. Post approval from board and the annual general meeting held on 6 September 2021. The company's name changed to Aurum PropTech Limited in October 2021 from Majesco Limited. Representing the management today, we have Ashish Deora, founder and CEO, Aurum Ventures, Mr. Srirang Athalye, President, Aurum Ventures and Director, Aurum PropTech Limited, Mr. Onkar Shetye, Executive Director, Aurum PropTech Limited, and Mr. Kunal Karan, who is the CFO of Aurum PropTech Limited. As usual, I'd like to remind you that anything that is said on the call, which reflects any outlook for future or which can be construed as a forward-looking statement, must be viewed in conjunction with the that we face. These risks and uncertainties are included but not limited to what we mentioned in the prospectus filed study and subsequent annual report, which you can find on the website. With that said, I'll now hand over the call to Srirang. Sri, over to you.
Thanks, Diwakar, for the introduction. As you mentioned, this is our second call as Aurum management with the analysts. I will once again introduce Aurum in brief about what Aurum has done in recent past. We are a new age technology-driven real estate company with a track record of value creation in sectors like telecom, aviation, and renewable energy. Since then, we have successfully invested in multiple sectors. For last decade, we have entirely focused on real estate. Our real estate arm has delivered one of the best campuses built in India, namely Aurum Q Park. This project has been built with highest quality and safety standards. It hosts Indian and international banks like Axis Bank, ICICI, First Rand of South Africa, Momentum Metropolitan Group, and Mizuho Bank of Japan. Despite of being privately owned, we have always adopted a very strong corporate governance and a transparency in our culture, which has enabled us to attract institutional capital and sovereign wealth funds in our various ventures. As a group, we have always focused on creating value for our stakeholders, which include our customers, capital allocators, investors, and our own team. We are also very focused on very important business aspects like advanced planning and prudent cash flow management. Our impeccable record of servicing debt, wherein every debt has been prepaid, I repeat, prepaid, is a testimony to our conservatism. I am personally invested in infusing and implementing sustainability initiatives to enhance our already existing ESG action plan, which is something that guides us and will continue to do so with renewed vigor, attempting to raise the bar with each new acquisition and with each passing year. Now I will hand over to Mr. Ashish Deora, founder and CEO of Aurum, a Harvard Business School alumnus and someone who understands technology and real estate intrinsically. Mr. Deora will elaborate on PropTech industry and Aurum PropTech vision. Over to you, Mr. Deora.
Thank you, Shri. Thank you, Diwakar. I'm once again excited to talk to the analyst and investor community, which has always shown immense faith in Majesco, which is now Aurum PropTech. Post Majesco's disruption in InsurTech, we have solidly embarked on our second inning in this journey to disrupt real estate sector. All businesses are undergoing a massive transformation process globally. Digital adoption and technology acceleration are changing the rules of each sector. In India, real estate sector plays a multiplier effect in development of economy and is expected to reach a market size of $1 trillion by 2030. Due to benefits of RERA, GST and demonetization kicking in, institutional capital allocators are investing heavily in real estate in India. We believe that use of technology will be accelerated in Indian real estate sector and disruption is inevitable. At Aurum PropTech, we are keenly analyzing global trends and making them indigenous. We are creating an integrated PropTech ecosystem where buyers, sellers, tenants, homeowners, and investors will be able to experience real estate journey seamlessly. We soon intend to offer a super app as a single-stop solution to facilitate most of the stakeholders in real estate value chain. Globally, real estate companies are increasingly using technology to improve 1, customer experiences, 2, boost sales, and 3, increase operational efficiency. Companies are using data to build, sell, and manage their real estate projects. Here at Aurum, we are working with entrepreneurs who believe in our vision that PropTech will deliver multiple homegrown unicorns in next few years. They share our belief that PropTech sector will deliver very successful companies inspired by what is happening currently in Indian fintech and global PropTech. Just to share, as on date, top 10 PropTech companies listed in US like Zillow, Opendoor, RealPage, and so on have combined market cap of $100 billion. Last quarter, we laid out our vision, which entails bringing efficiency and enhancing customer experience. Last quarter, we had also announced acquisition of 51% stake in K2V2 Technologies, the CRM software of Sell.Do and Kailash. We are happy to take another step in following an inorganic path to accelerate our growth. And we have now agreed to acquire 49% equity stake in Integro Asset Management. While Sell.Do helps us build customer digital journey, the acquisition of Integro will jumpstart another vertical of real estate, that is finance. These acquisitions are key pieces of our ecosystem. With these acquisitions, we now have a team strength of more than 200 team members in various areas of PropTech products in Aurum and its investee companies. With Integro acquisition, we are also attempting to converge fintech and PropTech. So to summarize, our vision is to build an integrated PropTech ecosystem, providing data analytics platform, artificial intelligence, machine learning-based insights, customer journey enabled by augmented and virtual reality, IoT-based solutions, and most importantly, all these rolled into one super app. I will now like to hand it over to Onkar to speak about our acquisitions and our initiatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Devra. Mr. Atle has talked about the group, and Mr. Devra has outlined the macro vision for PropTech sector, as well as the role Aurum envisages to play in disrupting this sector. I would like to focus on updating you about what we have done in the last 2 quarters and what we envisage to do in the coming 2 quarters. Over last few months, our teams have met more than 70 PropTech companies across India. These teams went through various stages of due diligence, including technical, financial, and legal. We are continuing to evaluate more and more companies to align them with our PropTech ecosystem. We acquired K2V2 Technologies and have worked with their team to put them on a growth trajectory. This quarter, its annual revenue run rate increased to 18.8 crores. Its customer base stands at 485 B2B accounts. K2V2 is also launching B2B2C products under their Beyond Walls initiative in Pune. This will accelerate the revenue exponentially. We would also like to apprise you about our investment in Integro, which is a technology-led real estate asset management company focused on transformation of shared insights and effective processes. The investment is for a 49% stake for a value of 25 crore Indian rupees. Integro is headed by real estate veteran Ramashray Yadav. Integro provides investment management services by identifying and managing the real estate investments, functioning as investment manager to AIFs, including Integro Real Estate Asset Trust, Estate Trust, SEBI registered Category 2 AIF. Integro has synergies with K2V2 technologies, CRM software, and aggregation platforms, wherein K2V2 will be able to give data intelligence on real estate demand side and increase sales velocity of real estate projects. Integro will be able to bring in efficient investments in supply side and tap into projects where demand side data shows an upside. This investment is a crucial cog in our ecosystem. The investment in Integro also gives an opportunity for Aurum to converge fintech and proptech. Further on, we are also meeting and evaluating property management software companies, which will further add to the network effects of Integro and K2V2 technology. K2V2 taps into demand-side intelligence and demand generation. The property management software will be crucial for demand-side revenue management and collection. Thus, a real estate asset cycle will pass through software junctions of these two platforms, CRM and property management, where one works on demand generation and intelligence, the other works on demand-side revenue management and collection. The asset management fund also fits in ideally to invest into real estate projects with a monetization upside. In the past few months, our team focused on outlining the vision of creating an integrated PropTech ecosystem, which is focused on 4 core areas: customer digital journey, enterprise digital transformation, property management platform, and invest in finance. Now, over the next 2 quarters, until March 2022, our focus area will be product strategy, integration, and go-to-market. We are in advanced stages of rolling out our integrated fulfillment center, Aurum Crex, and listing premium services, Aurum Listing. The team is working on building products with focus on advanced technologies like blockchain, data science, AI, and ML. We would like to open it to the forum and ask questions from you all. Thank you very much and appreciate your continued interest in Aurum PropTech Limited.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Anyone who wishes to ask a question at this time, they may please press star and 1. First question is from the line of Faisal Hawa from HG Hawa and Company. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon and congratulations for the new acquisition. May I know that what is our team size at present, which looks at these various companies, and how well placed or qualified they are to really evaluate these kind of PropTech investments? And my second question is, you mentioned Zillow and a few US-based companies. So on which company are we trying to base our business model so that we can replicate that quickly here? And is there any kind of a R&D budget or something which we are having to develop any kind of products on our own also?
So, good afternoon, Mr. Faisal Hawa. I'm assuming that your question is on three sides. One is that how are we evaluating these investments? Second is the global benchmarking of what we are trying to do. And the third one is, sorry, if you could repeat the third part of the question.
My question was, do we have some kind of an R&D spend, where we could develop products on our own also, so that, we don't depend on acquisitions alone?
Absolutely. So the reason why we are evaluating acquisitions currently is because we wanted to jumpstart the PropTech journey. And when we started meeting companies around 5 to 6 months ago, we realized that they were extremely good entrepreneurs who were building these products. And we thought, instead of rebuilding them, if we could work with these companies, that would create a collaborative model in our PropTech ecosystem. As Onkar outlined, we have met 70 odd companies at different phases, and different teams have met them. But we have only identified 2 companies till now which has crossed the investment stage. What is our sort of understanding of this? Considering that we kind of come from real estate sector, we believe that we understand the pain points of the real estate sector because of our experience in last 14 years in real estate. When we see a pain point and we see that somebody is trying to solve that, then we believe that it's a good investment potential. And then, of course, if the entrepreneur has a mid-term to long-term vision with us, only then we evaluate that. There should be growth mindset. There should be they should be led by technology, and they should be having an aptitude to create large corporations. These are the ways we evaluate an investment, of course, subject to legal, financial, and technical due diligence. There is also a 4-step process into this, where the first level is more of a business plan understanding, which happens with our business team. And then second level is in a tech demonstration, which is signed off by our technology team. Third is then they have to provide software. We do software testing of them on our own data, on our own business processes. And then fourthly, we kind of get onto how the business model and how the business plan can be improved if these companies start working with Aurum PropTech. So this is a 4 separate team which works independently and then report onto the investment committee to kind of take the investment into the next step. So that's how we are evaluating investments currently. As far as on a global benchmark, we believe that the companies like Zillow, like Opendoor, they have been in business for 5 to 10 years now, and they have created very interesting data sets, very interesting way how they navigate a buyer to buy apartments, to lease apartments, how they navigate a seller to rent apartment or to sell their apartment. And this is all now based on a smart understanding of the buyer, smart thinking of the buyer, which is possible from artificial intelligence and machine learning based insights. So that's essentially what we are trying to benchmark here in India. Similarly, on the property management side, there are companies like Yardi and RealPage. Yardi, of course, is privately held, but very large property management company. So they are global references on the property management side. So we have of course studied all these business models, whatever we can, from these global companies, and we are trying to make these business models indigenous, on trying to implement it with our own understanding of real estate. So that's on the global benchmarking. As far as R&D budget is concerned, We have now 8 people data science team, and they are working on the R&D process, etc. Kunal over next quarter is going to clearly bring out that how much is it on the R&D and how much is on the development. But just for you to know, we are spending a lot of time and energy on innovation. We have recently taken a blockchain project, and on that blockchain project, we are trying to create some sort of a democratization of ownership of real estate, which we are going to launch in this quarter. And we have probably spent 45 lakh rupees on that blockchain project with a Chennai-based company. So this is how we are approaching R&D currently.
Will that blockchain platform be integrated with Integro, which we have just acquired?
You are absolutely right. I mean, anything that is on the fintech side, blockchain and fintech will eventually become together. We are encouraging blockchain, not necessarily we are encouraging crypto. And blockchain, along with fractional ownership, along with what Integro does, can become a very, very solid fintech combination, and we are working towards that.
Sir, how soon we will be finished with our acquisition spree of whatever companies, and then afterwards, when will the actual building up the business, integration of all these 7-8 acquisitions, and then the actual revenues focus and all. How soon you feel you will be able to be done with this?
So acquisition is an ongoing process. It will not be fair to put a timeline to that. Having said that, we are in no rush to kind of say that look, we need to have 5 companies or 7 companies in 1 quarter or 2 quarters or 4 quarters. We have created our own PropTech map. We have created our own integrated ecosystem, and we are trying to now find the right teams, right products, which we can build or buy and align that with our ecosystem. So according to me, it's going to be a continuous process for some time. The businesses that we have already acquired are in any case generating revenue, right? So K2V2 revenue has only gone up over last 3 months or so. Acquisitions will continue, but simultaneously building of products are carrying on as well. So for example, as Onkar outlined, Aurum Listing and Aurum Crex, 2 products. One is which is a premium listing platform, and second is which is a fulfillment center, a 50-seater integrated contact center. These are going to be rolled out in this quarter itself. So both efforts will go on simultaneously to answer your question.
Is the question answered?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any participants who wish to ask a question at this time, they may please press star and 1. Next question is from the line of Varinder Bansal from Omkara. Please go ahead.
Hi everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. So Ashish, I could honestly understand and read whatever I could when it comes to you, and there is no denying the fact that you have done wonders in the last many years. This is a space. This is like a private equity, a listed private equity company. If I look around, some of the PropTech companies in India, whether it's CureYard or 99acres, the gestation period most of these companies have taken to come to profits is between 6 to 8 years. And still there are many companies which are struggling in terms of making profits. I just wanted to understand that, what are we targeting in terms of, the capital allocation which we'll be doing in this business? And what do you think that our journey could be? Still it's very, very early, stage in terms of getting ready, buying companies. Do you think that, to reach that stage, because, still I think 99acres, earn what, 200 crores revenues after 6, 7, 8 years. So the quantum of jump, to reach that whatever number, 500 crores or 1,000 crores, will that take so much of time?
Vanilla, first of all, thank you for your kind words. I think we have done some interesting things in the past, but nothing seems to be as interesting as PropTech. For you to identify us as real estate private equity, I would say is one part of the business that we are doing. It's not only investments that we make like private equity and handhold those investments to kind of create value on this investment. That is not what the idea is. That is one part of the idea. What we are doing is we are integrating all these companies into one service recipient layer, which is the super app. So, for example, a CRM that Sell.Do makes will be the backbone for the users that will be buying apartments on our listing platform. So we are also integrating them sidewise by each company and by on front end by our own service layer. We believe that this will give network effects to each investment, to each company, where they will fuel from each other's growth. We believe that the gross transaction value will keep going up on our platform with each acquisition, and the wallet share of Aurum PropTech and its industry companies will keep going up because there will be network effects from one to another. For example, Onkar spoke about the synergy between K2V2 and Integro. We believe that over the next couple quarters, they will start working together and mutually gain from each other's customer base and teams together. So real estate private equity for sure, but that's one part of the overall picture. Also, there is a huge strategy and emphasis on data management, on how data that is coming in from one company, how is it being used by another company? How is that being integrated? I think that is going to become a huge game changer in future. Most of the global companies that we track, they are doing that. I'm not so sure about some of the companies that you named. I'm sure they must be doing that as well. But most of the global companies are investing on data business, on data strategy quite a bit over last few quarters, and that is where we want to kind of take this. So that in answer your real estate private equity. Sorry, on the capital allocation, there is one more point on the capital allocation. So we think that 70% of the capital that we have and that we are going to sort of monetize by selling the 2 buildings that we own from the erstwhile management. There's a certain number that we believe we will be able to capitalize, and 70% of that can be allocated to acquire strategic investments in some of these companies, and 30% can be done for R&D and tech development at the Aurum PropTech level. That's a framework that we are trying to work on currently. You want to add something?
Sorry, can you put this in numbers? I think you have cash of what, nearly 100 crores?
A little above 100 crores, yes. After making the K2V2 acquisition, a little above 100 crores.
So the capex what we are planning for, acquisitions to make a super app, what will be that number?
So that number currently for year 1 is around 12 crores. It's not a very high number. It's done in-house with sub-outsourcing. So, but a large, that is on the super app side, but a large sum of this is also, addition to this is also being invested on data strategy.
So I'm just trying to understand, Ashish, that since you run a lot of businesses, right? You have interest in a lot of businesses, and you will be the Karta Dharta of this company, Aurum PropTech, owning 35% stake. we will need money, right? Whether it is development of R&D expenses, as the earlier gentleman said. So are we earmarking some, whatever, 100, 200, 500 crores, or there is a commitment coming from your end, or any numbers, that kind of what we're looking at?
So let's put this in three brackets. First is the cash that company has currently. Second is that the hard assets that the company has, which the idea is to monetize it. And by the way, commercial real estate is coming back with a bang. We are seeing a lot of leasing happening in our Q Park campus over last month or two. So we are fairly confident that we'll get a reasonable value for the two buildings that Majesco, that Aurum PropTech already owns from earlier times. So that is the second bracket. First is cash. Second is liquidating the hard assets of the two buildings. And third will be the future capital raising. And from our point of view, look, we are committed in this for a long time. So any amount of capital that is required to be brought in as shareholders, we are very happy to kind of invest and support the company, because this is going to be, according to us, one of the largest sectors going forward. Onkar wanted to add something to your earlier part of the question.
Please.
To add to what Mr. Deva said, one primary difference between a couple of companies that you mentioned and ours is that our strategy is a mix of inorganic and organic growth, wherein we are acquiring companies which are already there in terms of software development. They have ready products. It needs some realignment with respect to integration into the larger ecosystem and platform. And these are revenue-generating products that we have acquired. For example, K2V2 is a revenue-generating product. The further product build here will only accelerate the revenue and go-to-market. Also, by focusing more on their go-to-market strategies, also will be able to increase their revenue opportunities exponentially. And that is why our lead time will not be as much as the other two companies, which built everything from ground up and scratch. So there we have a lot of catch-up being done already.
Is there any internal number what you guys are working at in terms of lead time or any targets in your mind for the next 3-5 years?
We have got it absolutely right that the perspective is on 3 to 5 years. That isn't any leading numbers at this stage. I can already see Kunal sort of telling me that please don't answer that question. So, but look, let's look at it from this point of view, right? One, the view that we are taking as a company is that it's a 3 to 5 year build out strategy. Number one. Number two, what we are taking is that we believe that the sector over 10 years is going to become $1 trillion sector. We believe that there is going to be at least 10% digital adoption in this sector. What is happening in travel and fintech kind of gives us indication that it could be more, but at a conservative level, it will be 10%. So we are talking about $100 billion of a PropTech sector in next 7 to 9 years. Now within that, the top market players, the top leaders will have its own market share. If we do things right today, and if we are a part of that top market player and top market leaders, then the numbers that you see currently of some of the other competing companies look very, very small. And it's also because post-COVID, people are realizing that, look, you don't need to visit apartment 4 times to actually close a sale. You can do it 2 times, whereas developers will give you a very, very good immersive journey sitting at your house before that with your family in your living rooms, right? So all these things are changing. There is a complete change in pattern when you see how people are buying homes, how people are renting homes post-COVID. And at some point of time, this inflection point will kick in, and you'll see all the companies kind of garnering a great amount of revenue who have a decent business model. So So on your 3 to 5 year question, I think I can leave it to here if you're okay with that.
Okay. Can I ask one question? Last question, please.
Please.
So, sorry, two questions, okay? One is that I think your shareholding is still 35%, and I heard you mentioned that you will be going for some external fundraising as well. What are the plans on that side? Will you be looking to raise funds immediately, or you would like to bring your stake to above 50%? That is one on the shareholding side. And the last question is that if you can explain us how much technology cost is there in the real estate sector, say in India versus global, and with prop tech companies like yourself coming in, how much it actually helps the entire real estate companies or the industry in terms of saving money, wherein we can understand that your contribution as a prop tech player will be massively for these guys.
So Varinder, the 35% shareholding is actually something that comes out of two parts. The promoters of Majesco held 14%, which we bought into, and then we gave an open offer of 26%, and we could acquire only 21% in that. So that is how 35%. I mean, I wish this would have gone up to 40%, and we would have got subscribed the entire 26%, but that was not the case. Now, obviously, once you are at 35%, to increase the shareholding, there are multiple sort of routes and ways to do that, which is either you do through a rights issue or you do through a preferential allotment. Right? We believe that the company currently is already sitting on cash, which it needs to deploy over the next 3 to 6 months. Burdening it with more capital currently is not going to really help the capital table of the company. Having said that, we at Aurum level have a very, very strong balance sheet with almost zero debt, and at the right time we can invest tremendous amounts of equity in this business. Whether it increases the equity or it's in the form of a rights issue or something else, that is for the advisors and bankers to work on. Technology cost, Onkar, you want to talk about?
Varinder, to answer your question, let me put the ecosystem vision in this part. So the benefits are three-pronged actually. One, the beneficiaries are B2B, the other is B2C, and the third is B2B2C. All three at some point of time interacting either with respect to ownership and purchase of the real estate asset, or managing the real estate asset, or selling the real estate asset. And all three benefits, all beneficiaries are going to get impacted in this way. The creators of real estate will eventually be able to increase their sales velocity, reduce turnaround times through deployment of these softwares. They will also be able to better their consumer experience and brand experience, thus bettering their product proposition and brand recall value. Once the asset is sold, the asset owner, which is the B2C, will be able to efficiently manage this asset on a software-driven platform, and thus creating multiple opportunities of monetization or servicing that real estate asset. B2B2C, which is a huge ecosystem with respect to channel partners and brokers that are involved in various types of real estate, also will be able to benefit from this software-driven ecosystem. So the conversation actually moved away from what is the actual cost impact for the developer to this being a necessity to really get to that $1 trillion real estate market. That is where the conversation has happened, and COVID has been really the tipping point of this being looked as a cost initiative rather than being looked as a revenue force multiplier by B2B, essentially.
No, got it. Thank you, Mukhi. I have no doubts in terms of the sector per se, because we have been very, very bullish on real estate sector since last 1 year, and I get those points. I was just trying to think about that. There's a lot of players in the same prop tech sector have not made money in the same, say, in the last 7-8 years, and prop tech as an industry is there since last 2 decades also, but we haven't seen a very big player emerging out of and very strong financially as well. So, what are the plans in terms of, Aurum to go and hit it in the right way? Because if it hits, then it will be big. But thank you so much.
To your point, Vaninderji, actually what has happened is PropTech technology, software in real estate has definitely existed for quite a bit. But PropTech as an industry has only emerged from 2015. In fact, there's a company called MetaProp in the US who first termed the name PropTech. What has happened is there's a lot of heavy lifting that has been done already in the last 4-5 years. And there's a lot of learnings that these companies that are already into existence that have given us. The tipping point really has been the last 2 years, where adoption of technology has got integrated in the DNA of real estate developers and also the consumers of real estate. And that actually is going to benefit us now, having entered in at the right time.
Thank you so much. It's a huge field. Okay, I wish you and your entire team all the best.
Thank you, Varun.
Thank you. A reminder to our participants, please press star and 1 if you wish to ask a question. Here's a follow-up question from the line of Faisal Hawa from Hawa HG Hawa and Company. Please go ahead.
So I would just like to know what would be your style in really growing this company. Would you be growing it like the startups are known to do at this point of time? Going for like heavy advertising and hire a lot of people from the ecosystem of startups or tech world, and really go big, hammer and tongs, or you would like to build it very slowly. Because I think your blockchain part, where you are going for fractional ownership, having seen even things like crypto growing through advertising, and which are in a very gray zone at this point of time. So your this fractional ownership model could really I think hit it quite big, because that is something which is needed, because equity cannot be the only asset class for a small investor.
Otherwise, you have picked on to that point that how blockchain can actually democratize the equity investment in real estate sector, and we are working on that to roll out that product soon. Customer acquisition cost, which is a byproduct of heavy advertising, and paying a lot of salary, because currently there is so much demand for talent from all over industries is the two biggest challenge. The heavy advertising and talent acquisition are the two biggest challenge. And we have very often taken.
The voice is breaking.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly now.
We have very often taken a contrarian view. We have very often taken a contrarian view on these things, and we are ensuring that we don't advertise very heavily. We believe that the consumer acquisition cost is a very, very important metric. We want to keep that under control. On the digital side, with some key team members, yes, we will have to compete with the market to get the right talent on board. We have already got the key members in the team already, but we are also employing a large part of new team which is coming and getting trained with us. These enthusiastic team members are typically 1 to 2 years of experience, and I think they are delivering reasonably well. Of course, attrition will be a big challenge in this. That's a challenge that the industry faces, and we are finding ways to deal with that. But we will not follow the current industry trend of heavy advertising and paying obnoxious amounts of salary for this. What we are also doing is we are leveraging our companies like K2V2, which already has a 200 plus team, and we are recruiting in Pune with K2V2 to sort of keep acquisition costs under control. People are comfortable to work in a place where there are already 60, 70 technology team members working. So it becomes a good sort of working environment for them. So we are sort of leveraging our team members and our investment companies to do the talent acquisition. As far as advertising is concerned, we are aligning all branding strategy with a K2V2, with Aurum PropTech, with Integro, and ensuring that there is a common landing page, so that once you advertise that common landing page, everybody will be able to run their journey from there on, and the acquisition cost of the customer can be amortized over multiple products and multiple companies. So we are thinking out of box and contrarian on this one.
So those two things, can you elaborate on what the AUM of Integro is at this point of time? What are the specialities within the property management space? And how you feel that Integro on a standalone basis will perform in the next 2 years? And secondly, can you just elaborate a bit on how K2V2 has performed in terms of revenues and in terms of penetration in customers also, and how much it is growing month on month post our acquisition?
So I will talk about Integro. As for K2V2, I will request Kunal, who now sits on board of K2V2, to talk about their numbers. So K2V2, Integro is in the process of raising their first fund of 1,000 crores, and it has set up a team which comprises of very senior industry people. We have also done a diligence on the processes, the way they are evaluating each investment, how they are sourcing each investment, what is the kind of information that they are bringing on board before making an investment decision, and all these processes that they have set are according to us, are game changers. They have recently started around a year ago, but already they have got the license from SEBI to raise their fund, and they are in the process of doing that. And once they do the first fund, then I'm assuming that they'll want to do the multiple funds as well. So that's really the roadmap of K2V2. Roadmap of Integro. As far as K2V2 is concerned, I'll request Kunal to talk about some of the numbers.
So the way we look at the numbers of K2V2, maybe in the next, we have got try to prepare 3 years plan, starting say from 1st of September, the date on which we made the investment. And the revenue that we are trying to achieve will be around 40 crores. And of course, it will be first year, there will be a negative EBITDA of around 3 crores. And maybe going
40 crores, which financial year are you talking about?
I am saying for 12 months from this September to next August 22.
Okay.
Because we are just trying to monitor it on a 12-month basis from the date of which we have made the investment.
No problem. Actually, we are most used to financial year, but that's okay. I mean, no problem.
Yes, and look, since this is a business that will grow eventually, mostly out of this by September. By March
the number will be around 18 crores of revenue, and the rest will be in the last 5 months of the total 12 months that I said. And of course, we have tried to align the revenue recognition method based on the India's accounting standards, which earlier K2V2 being a private company was not following, and they're not supposed to follow. So all those things have been now aligned, and I think this is a good way to monitor it so that we are in line with our numbers.
So if we are a SaaS product, then why is our margin so less? So you are saying basically at almost 40 crore revenue, you will be doing an EBITDA of only around 3 crores. So what is the reason behind it?
Hi, this is Omkar here. Essentially, our strategy with K2V2 in the first year is ensuring that their existing products are rolled out better with a better go-to-market strategy, which is essentially their SaaS products. We've also identified opportunities together with them in products which are non-SaaS. And these products are to do with digital marketing automation. For example, Beyond Walls Digital is their B2B product, which they run as a service. So the answer to the question is basically, first year is we are also investing into talent. First year we are also investing into product development, product alignment. And we will be able to see these benefits over the next few quarters. The CRM products itself, they do have got their values capitalized already, and they are fairly giving us decent margins.
If these investments were not made, the margin would have been better?
These investments in people and products are definitely required, because at some point of time, we need to exponentially increase the larger CDJ, customer digital journey side of ecosystem. Presently, only K2V2 only has got a CRM, not presently, but it had only a CRM product. But in addition to it, we also need to have a B2B2C, which is a channel partner-based CRM, and a B2B platform, which includes the ad automation and digital marketing. There's also R&D happening on the B2C products there, which will be products which will directly cater to the consumers of real estate, moving away from B2B strategy. So all these products are required to grow the business exponentially beyond only being the real estate CRM.
Who are these 400 customers that we have? What is are they real estate developers or?
The present customers is a mix of majorly being real estate developers, B2B. And we also now have got B2B2C clientele, which is the channel partner ecosystem, which will sign up for the softwares and participate in launch and sale of the products, connecting with the consumers directly. At some point of time, we will also have a B2C product, which will then align the B2B, the B2B2C, and the consumers, that is B2C. So it's an integrated approach on the customer digital side of the journey.
So we have sold primarily only to Western India-based real estate developers.
Well, the vision is pan-India. We have identified tier 1 and tier 2 cities both, and the potential is huge beyond Western India. We were quite surprised that the technology adoption in tier 2 cities is quite high as well. Even South India is having a good adoption of tech. The primary strategy is to focus on Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, Hyderabad, Chennai in phase 1, and then evaluate other cities for opportunities. I hope we have answered your question. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. A reminder to our participants, please press star 1 if you wish to ask a question. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be our last question for today. I now hand the conference over to the management for their closing comments. Thank you, and over to you.
So thank you very much for all who have attended this call. We look forward to engaging with you over next few quarters as well. And we believe that what we are building is truly remarkable. We'd like to conclude this call by wishing all of you a very happy Diwali and a prosperous New Year from everybody at Aurum PropTech and Aurum Group. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Aurum PropTech Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.